Hi, so we're on match number 11 of Bryan Danielson's AEW run, and this match is against Rocky Romero 3 days before Full Gear, where he has a match against Miro for the number one contendership for the AEW men's world title. Now, immediately in the entrance, it's a big thing that's put over about Rocky Romero being out with Orange Cassidy and the best friends, which is, at the time, Statlander, Chuck Taylor, and Wheeler Yuta. And it's because, at this point, I don't know if it was all of them. I know it was Cassidy, though. They were a part of Chaos. They just joined Chaos at this point, which is a faction in Japan, New Japan. And it's like a big deal. Okada's the leader at this point and invited Cassidy firsthand. So Cassidy joins Rocky Romero outside the ring during this match. The match itself, I've mainly seen Rocky Romero through RPG Vice, and it's good. I do like him in a tag, but I will say, as a singles guy, I've seen him once or twice, and I've never really had the lasting impact imprinted in my brain of the guy. I think he's a better heel. I've always made that observation, but in this match, he's really good. Like, he doesn't steal the show, but his reversals are excellent. I really was surprised how good his reversals were. I knew he was technically good, but he was definitely better than what I thought he was. The match was much more technical than I thought it'd be. I thought it'd have a lot more hard-hittingness, and it was more just about reversals and technical graps, essentially, and it was great. I really enjoyed it. The start of it's like, the basic lockups and stuff, constant reversals, and Bryan holds his own, obviously, but then Rocky gets one over and does the cocky stuff, as you expect, and then it starts going over to the chops and the stuff in the corner, and Bryan gets angered by this and starts going right in for it. Throughout the match, Rocky is just going for like this armbar. There's a specific name, I forget what it's called, but he keeps going for that move, and it keeps landing, but Bryan just keeps breaking it and countering it. Like, there was like a 5 consistent streak of counters, like from one move counter to another, counter to another, counter to another. The guys, they put it over on commentary. They clearly have a history from New Japan. They were both in the American Super Juniors in 2004, I think it was. So it was really well put over. Rocky does a few DDTs, and they're excellent. I will say they were really good at DDTs. There was and he hit them out of nowhere. They were very snappy. It was really good how he hit them. It was honestly very out of nowhere. There's a point in the match where Bryan's fighting through the ropes. So Rocky had hit him out, and then he comes back in the ring, and then they're both hitting each other with the elbows, while Bryan's putting his upper body through the ropes, but he's still standing outside. It sends Bryan back outside. When he's outside, Cassidy's standing there, and Cassidy's just standing there and teases the pockets, but then Rocky makes a dive. Because Cassidy doesn't interfere in the match. He doesn't actually, attack Bryan or anything. But he does, obviously, at that point he takes his attention. But Bryan just looks like, what the hell's going on? It was hilarious. Then, I don't know if it was earlier or later in the match, Matt Hardy's in the background and he does the Orange Cassidy thumbs up. And it's just weird because, that was a thing going on at the time. It was weird. Big Money Matt Hardy. Anyone remember Big Money Matt Hardy? Yeah, but as a match, it was really technical, and honestly, that's kind of what I like. So I really enjoyed it. I didn't expect it. It's only a 10-minute match on a Dynamite, basically to just A, fill TV time, but B, get more motion behind Bryan going into Full Gear 3 days down the line. And it was great. It was just, Rocky again impressed me. There was a lot, the DDTs, but that arm, he kept going for that arm move, and it was good. There was, he does a Hurricane Rana, and that looked excellent. The Hurricane Rana he hits is excellent. I forget what specifically in my mind went that was good. But I remember when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, that was great. Bryan, there's a point where, because after reversals from the arm drag, and this is the finish, he does the reverse, so Rocky keeps going for the arm drag. And Bryan reverses it, and he eventually reverses it into a position where he sets up the kick and the head in. And Bryan, he just slowly rises. He doesn't even scream to the audience like he normally does, and he just started kicking his head in. That was great. Rocky hits a great knee on Bryan. That was excellent. And then just the finish was, it was originally going to be the label lock, but then he sets it up. He'd done this move earlier on. It was like a leg lock. The way they reversed the ankle lock earlier on in the match, actually, that was phenomenal. That was the best sequence of the match, definitely. It was constant reversals, and Bryan got the ankle lock. It was phenomenal. But then the finish was more about it was going to be the label lock, Bryan's basic mutilate finish straight after the kick and the head in, but he reverses it into this, like, it wasn't an ankle lock, but it was like a Walls of Jericho. I forget what the actual name is, but that type of finisher. But Bryan done one early in the match where he put his knee on top of it as well, so it was more of a stretch. Oh, it was ridiculous. I really liked that. I thought that was really cool. But he sets it up like that, and it makes Rocky tap instantly. Like it feels like it's a bit of, not a botch, but it feels like they counted a first tap that shouldn't have been counted as a tap, and the match just ends. Honestly, it was really good. The holds and the submission holds specifically in this match, specifically to do with the legs, were great. I will say they were really good. As a match, I thought this was really fun. I didn't expect it to be this entertaining, but it did. It wasn't like this wasn't one of those matches during the run so far where I'll be like, oh my god, this stole the show. It didn't. But it was one of those where, like, if you ask me, during, like, before this run, what was the ones you was looking forward to? I wouldn't have said this one, but this is the ones that, like, you kind of like in this run, where they're like, they're just surprising. It was just a surprising match. There wasn't no real antics. Cassidy on the outside, Matt Hardy being there, stuff like that. I kind of just like that. It was just solid wrestling. That's like, it's just a level of quality that you just kind of just sit back and admire. You know what I mean? It was very old school. Honestly, you can get the guys coming from New Japan Dojo, like that's what they put over on commentary, and you get it. You get that. You know what I mean? It feels like it didn't feel like a TV wrestling match. It felt like these two guys running it back, and they show respect at the start, so there was no real animosity, which I kind of liked. Doesn't always have to be hatred upon hatred just because it's a match. But honestly, yeah, this is one of those matches, like I said, where it's this kind of what the retrospective's about, going, oh, that was a good match. I can recommend that one if you want to see a good, like, random technical match. Stuff like that. And yeah, like, I feel like every one of these videos, when I do, like, a Bryan match, I'm always putting over the opponent. And yeah, I mentioned Bryan, obviously, but it feels like, because I'm watching so much Bryan Danielson, which is not a bad thing at all, I'm forgetting, like, I'm just kind of going, oh, this guy works well, this guy done a lot, because the stuff that Bryan does, it feels like it's a rhythm, and you get this from Bryan, so you know what you're expecting, but, like, I can't reiterate enough, that quality is the best of all time. I'm not saying this match is the best of all time, but Bryan is the best wrestler of all time to me. And obviously it's opinionated, but the fact of, I always put these guys over, I've always got to mention as well, Bryan does that too, and it's insane. Like, I'm not the biggest Rocky Romero guy. I like him in RPG Vice with Trent Beretta, and I think he's funny with the Big Justice and Big Boom AJ stuff, and he's a good promo. I'll give him that. He is a good promo. But I'm not, like, the biggest fan. I wouldn't sit there and go, oh, did you watch that Rocky Romero match? But I'm glad that I watched this, because you gain a new respect, because they're hanging with the greatest. You know what I mean? It's like, that's kind of what I like. I like about this whole retrospective. I'm really enjoying it, and this is one of the key matches because of that. So that was match number 11. Have you seen this match, and what do you think of it? Our next match will be the Full Gear AEW Men's World Championship final. And we'll look forward to that, because obviously there's stuff that's happened. But I'm looking forward to that one. And yeah, hopefully you guys are all enjoying this retrospective as much as I am.